Hello and welcome to the Rank Advertiser, where we inspire, enlighten, and empower every single listener. Welcome, everybody. Today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Purdeep Sangha here in the show. He's widely known as the strategist for and teaches men how to become the complete man. His personal mission is to help men grow their business massively, increasing their personal fulfillment in life and improve their relationship with their wife and kid. He is the founder behind the movement of men becoming mindful alpha male, men who experience complete victory and have it all. As an award-winning author, entrepreneur, speaker, podcaster, business advisor, husband, and father, Purdeep knows exactly how tough it can be to balance a successful business with a happy family. After studying and working with some of the most successful men around the globe, Purdeep shows men the neuroscience behind becoming limitless. Hello, Mr. Purdeep, how are you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being in the show. Could you tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about how you came to the idea of the complete man, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a husband. I have two young kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. 10 years this year, and an entrepreneur, you could say, and also an advisor. I think my mission in life is really to help other people. And we've created a niche there to help men specifically, especially men who are in business, either CEOs or executives or have their own business, but really help them have a more successful business and a successful life. Because what ends up happening as men is we tend to focus a lot on our careers or our business, and then other aspects of our life struggle or we suffer. And then family units suffer. And then what ends up happening is we raise kids that are feeling like they're missing something, or maybe they have very unhealthy habits. So long story short, we're here to help men basically have it all, be the complete man, which is basically having everything that they want in life. And it's totally possible for every person to have the success, the wealth, the relationships that they want. They just have to learn how to do it properly.
Great. That's a really great intro. I want to say, for someone who's a man right now and who's watching us and who have a family and is trying to figure out how to balance career and work, what would be kind of your first advice to them? What is that thing that will enable them to balance family and work?
Well, I think the biggest thing, one of the first things that we do when we work with men is really get them to think about what they want their life to be like. And so that could be an exercise where they just may spend a few hours on their own, or maybe even a weekend on their own, and have no external influences to see what kind of life they really want to live in 5 or 10 years. And the reason why I say that is because, especially as men, we end up living lives, not that we're forced into it, but we believe that's the best way to live our life. Because society tells us we're supposed to be extremely successful and have all this money and do all these things. And that's the way we live. But some of us don't want to live that way. Some of us don't need to make all that money, yet they feel that external pressure. Or they need to provide a certain lifestyle for their family because their family likes to have a certain lifestyle, but they're having to work extra hours and stay at work or work on weekends to be able to provide that. And sometimes we as men end up living a life that other people want us to live. And that's ultimately it. And we forget the life that we want. Sometimes we even forget who we are as individuals or as men. So the very first, you can say, thing is to really think about what you want your life to be like without the influence of others, without the pressures of your spouse, without the pressures of your kids, without the pressures of your parents, and really formulate that vision, because from there, things become a lot more clear.
Okay, I see. That is a very great way to put it, the vision. I like that you started in there. And I also want to see, for those who are, because I also meet a lot of men as I go through my life. And sometimes I meet men who are afraid to have a family as well, because they don't want the career to be in the way. And for men who are thinking about those challenges, about having a family, and they're listening to us, and you will figure out the way to integrate all the components of it, and you kind of figure out got the sweet sauce of how to make it happen. And what would be the advice to that specific segment of men who are career men? They're thinking about family, but they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think the first thing is if you truly want a family, then you definitely need to go for it, right? And there's no such thing. I come across guys like that are afraid because guess what? You might have a lot of control in your business or career, right? Because that is something that you're really good at, but you don't really understand or have those skills of how to maybe be a father or even a husband, right? And so that can be scary for a lot of guys. And so understanding that it's a journey, that you have to learn it, that it's not something that happens overnight. Like I'm constantly, every single day, learning how to be a better father because there's some things that I don't do well. And my kids kind of, they'll teach me something new every day, right? And they'll keep me on track. But it really is, it's one of those things that I don't think you can really prepare for or have a sought after plan, because in business or a career, you can have a plan, but in your family, that plan isn't always clear, right? And if you try to have a clear plan with your family, it's a challenge. And it never goes that way because there's guys I know that plan to have a family and then they can't get pregnant. And then they're spending years trying to do that and then they get frustrated, right? So when it comes to the family, you have to get used to things being kind of random. if that's the simple way that I can put it. But there's another aspect to this as well. You will take that leap of having a family when you find the right person in life. And it can be scary if you aren't with the right person, because you'll know when you meet that right person because you'll want to have kids with that person. You'll want to experience that because you know that person, whether you're a man and obviously you're marrying a woman or even another man, whatever your preference is, you'll know that you feel good at that time when you want to have a family. And I think that's the other challenge that a lot of men face is just not with the right person. Right? Maybe they're afraid. And let's be honest. Let's talk about all the things that men are afraid of. One of the biggest things is, hey, look, if I get married and if I get divorced, man, I'm going to lose half my money.
Exactly.
Right? I'm going to lose all this. I've been working for 20 years. And if I get married, she takes it. And that's how the court system works. What's the point of that? Maybe I'll just date around and have some fun and not have to commit. There's a lot of guys that feel that way. Or there's a lot of guys that have been hurt. They've been with someone and it hasn't gone their way. And as a result, they get kind of tainted. I would say that's another big thing that I see a lot of guys struggle with. But when you find the right person, you'll have a sense of that.
And how do you advise guys who've been through something like that? They've been they went from relationship to relationship and they're struggling as well to commit because they have the fear of the past happening to them. What would be kind of your advice to them? I don't know if you share about those in the book as well, but what would be kind of your advice to them to make that decision, that leap, to not let the past comes in the future, and how would they make a decision or take that leap forward?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to learn from your past. That's the most important thing. If you learn from the past and you say, okay, well, I was with this person and they had this quality and I couldn't get along with that person. There's something about that I didn't like. Or maybe I didn't like how I reacted to that, the person I became. You have to be able to write that down and you have to be able to acknowledge that, the things that you don't want a person, right? Or the qualities that you want to stay away from. And then on the flip side, you also have to write down what you do want. So if you are clear about the type of person you want, eventually you will find that person. It might take a while, but you will find that person. But also realize that a relationship is, just like anything else, it requires skills, right? And on both parties, it requires us to get better as individuals, have better communication, learn about relationships. My wife and I had this conversation a number of times. Some people think, relationships should just be natural. It's not always that. It's not always that easy. And you have to put the time and effort into it. And so you have to be aware that if you want a successful relationship, it's going to require time. It's going to require effort. It's going to require you learning. It's going to require you being uncomfortable. And it's going to require you changing your ways. And I think that's the other challenge that we have as men is sometimes we don't want to get into a relationship because we know we may have to change what we do or our habits. Right? We're not going to be able to go out and party with the guys all the time or spend nights at work because the person that we're with will want to spend time with us.
Absolutely. That's a very good analysis there. The ability to change and to adapt to the new reality of life. And that is amazing. And that transformation really makes the difference. And for people who are seeing, I see that you have a book By the way, could you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah, I've this recent one that I wrote, I've written a few. This one is called The Complete Man, and it's about how to perform and achieve and be fulfilled in life, right? And that's really what it's about because all guys want to perform, right? We want to be the best performers. All guys want to achieve, meaning that they want to win, but a lot of us forget to how to be fulfilled. And so this kind of closes the circle to show you how to perform at your best, how to achieve all the goals that you want, and also be happier in life and have more enjoyment. And it's really the reason why I wrote this book is because it's a summation of the work that I do. It's a summation of the years of experience, the decades of experience in terms of coaching individuals. And there's a personal, you can say, part to it because I wrote this book for my dad as well. My dad passed away a couple of years before I wrote this book, and my dad is a big reason why I do what I do because my dad was he immigrated from India. He came to the country with $11, built a successful business. He raised two successful sons, but you could tell there's something missing in his life. And as a result, he struggled with alcohol his entire life. He was a great dad when he was sober, but when he drank, he was just a completely different person. So I saw these two sides to him. And so when I was young, I started to study guys' behavior, especially my dad's behavior, because I was always curious, why does my dad drink so much? Like what in his life is leading him to drink that much? And so I started to study him. I studied other men and relationships and all these things. So I became an expert when it comes to the life that men lead and how they live it and the challenges that come along with it. So that's why I do the work that I do because I have the skill set over years, but I put that into this book to be able to help men. And I released this book. I wrote it and actually we published it the same year in 2020 when COVID happened, when it first came out, because I knew that a lot of men would be struggling. And it did come true. A lot of men are still struggling from COVID. And so it was my hope that this book would help them not only get through the tough time, but show them how to be more successful in life and have everything that they want.
Great. Thank you. That is a great analysis of it. And I want to ask, how many books have you written so far? Do you have already 2 books, or is The Complete Man the only book that you have available?
No, I've written, you could say 2.5. I co-authored one, and then I have another one that I've written myself, which is called Superfans. And that's more around the business side. It's more around customer experience and how to grow your business.
Perfect. Thank you. And for people who are seeing that you are a businessman a little as well, could you tell us a little bit about the business side? What do you do as a businessman? Do you do coaching, or is there more into it as well?
Yeah, definitely. So we have businesses in a number of different sectors, you can say. So I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm very passionate about the advisory side. So we work specifically with businessmen where we help them grow their business, but also how to perform better in all other areas of their life, like how to be a better husband, how to be a better father, how to make better decisions in life, how to learn faster, how to problem solve, how to be more creative. And we use a lot of science with that. So basically, we help men become the complete man in all aspects. On the business side, what we've done is basically we're a full service advisory firm for anyone who wants to grow their business. So we help with marketing, we help with sales, we help with operations, customer experience. We're there to support you in your business growth journey.
Definitely. For those of you who are listening to us, you can always check the website at purdepsangha.com. And my next question is in terms of people who are struggling with their career, right? What are kind of the thing you help them kind of be back on the track? That is also one of the segment of people that I see of men. They might have a great relationship, but they're struggling with the career. What are some of the advice you give to that segment of men?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to career, your career has to be aligned with who you are and your purpose, because that's the big thing. There's a lot of men that try to pigeonhole themselves in a specific career, maybe because they're good at it, but it doesn't align with their values. And here's what I say: if you enjoy doing the work that you do, if it aligns with your purpose and you are darn good at it, you know you're in the right role. And it requires all 3 of those things, but a lot of the times we don't have all 3 of the things. You might be really good at it, but you might not enjoy it that much, right? It might not be that much of a challenge. When you find that perfect combination, then you actually excel a lot faster. And that may require you to work for a different organization or go to a completely different industry. And so that's very, very important to realize that your career is a direct reflection of you. You don't have to be stuck in a certain career. You don't have to be stuck working for a specific business. You have the option of changing. In fact, you should be the one choosing who you work with or work for rather than feeling like you have to be interviewed and they're choosing you. And so the other thing that I tell people is you have to be so good that people want you. Right. And that's the thing. If you find a very specific niche and get really good at it, that's when you become valuable. And that could be anything. The other aspect to this is when it comes to careers or career growth is finding the right network and accelerating in your career. Yes, there's a lot to do with how good you are in your skill set, but there's a lot more tied to the people that you know in your network. And I've seen more people accelerate in their career or get the career of their lifetime or, just have great opportunities, not because they're so good at something, but more because they know someone. They're connected to someone. They have a connection that knows someone else. So if you really want to figure out how to accelerate your career fast, get to know people, network with other people, right? And genuinely have an interest in others because that circle will complete. It'll come back for you in a positive way.
And my next question is for entrepreneurs, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs as well listening to the podcast who run business and who are often busy, right? They're between closing deals, getting some new businesses, and some have family and some don't have family. And for those who have family and who are working together to figure out how to run the business well, and would you mix relationship and business in terms of like enabling your wife, or for those who have girlfriend who are thinking, okay, do I invite my wife in the business, or should it be separate? What would be kind of your take into that?
Well, I would say there's a big caution sign first before you do that. So realize that it can present a lot of challenges, not only in your business, but in your personal life. So, and people say, well, I've worked with couples and people will say, yeah, we keep business and personal. No, it never works that way. What happens in your personal life will come into your business, and what happens in your business will come into your personal life. It is guaranteed. So you cannot pretend that you can keep them separate. If you have a good relationship with your partner where you believe that you can excel in both areas, in a relationship and in business, then I would highly encourage you to do that, because if you're a powerful couple from that perspective, you can go a long way. I've seen some very successful couples be able to do that. So I would say and also if your skill sets complement each other, right? Because the other reason why you want to partner, not only with your spouse or your girlfriend, but with other people, is because they have a skill set that complements your skill set. And I'll give you an example. This is just general stereotype. I know a lot of couples that are working in business together where the guy is like the go-getter. He's out there driving sales. He's out there doing the business development. He's making the deals, right? He's wheeling and dealing. And then their spouse or his spouse, for example, is taking care of the office, is managing the team or doing the administration because they have better skills in that perspective. So I think that complementary skills can absolutely work. And you have to be very clear on that, though, because in the work environment, especially if your spouse is working for you as an employee, you're going to have some very clear guidelines, because there might be a time where you might say, hey, look, I need you to do a better job with this. And that can be challenging.
Absolutely. I can definitely see that part. Wow, that's a very good point in there. And for people who have the wife working with them or as partner, and what are kind of the advice you give them to because I know sometimes in business you need to to make sure that things are well done. And for people who have that challenge, would you advise them to kind of bring in a consultant, or would you advise them to talk to their wife about the business, or talk to their husband about the business? Or what would be some of the advice you would give them for people who are going through that challenge in their business and relationship? They're kind of afraid to cross that line per se.
Yeah, it's always good to bring in a professional if you feel like you don't have the opportunity or the skills to be able to do something or have a difficult conversation. So one of the things that we focus on in our advisory firm is we are specialists in working with family businesses as well. So we specialize that in working with couples, multi-generational businesses, for example. It's one of the toughest things, because business is tough enough as it is, but if you have someone in your family working in the business with you, adds a whole different layer. Like my brother and I have a business, but I sell a couple of businesses that we are co-owners in, for example. And it's not easy because my brother is like the complete opposite of me. And so sometimes we can butt heads. So we have to navigate that very, very carefully. If in doubt, bring in a professional because they will help you not only give you some guidelines, but also give you some ideas to be able to overcome things. Because sometimes we get stuck in our own thinking. And especially when we're in a relationship with that person, because there's an emotional attachment, we don't think of how to approach those challenges in a different way because we have our emotions attached to it. And so it can be a lot tougher. And having a neutral party that has an outside look is always a benefit.
Perfect. Thank you. And I wanted to ask for people who are starting into business as well. What are the advice you give to them? Because you already run a successful business. You already went from the start to growing a business. You know the cycle of business per se. What are the advice to those young entrepreneurs who want to start a business or who are modeling the business right now? What are some of the advice you give to someone like that?
Yeah, and this advice is all on the personal side because 80% of business is on the individual. It's on the personal side. The 20% is a technical, like what is your marketing like and what is your sales process like and all that kind of stuff. That's the easy part. The tougher part is how you manage your emotions and how you deal with tough situations because when you're starting a business, it's always tough. You know what, you're going to go through, you might have a great, upswing, but it's going to come down at some point and then you're going to have to go up again. So you have to be aware of that. And I always tell people, are you sure you want to be a business owner or an entrepreneur? Like, is it part of you? Are you built to be that way? Can you think that way? Can you go for 6 months without getting a paycheck? Like, can you deal with the risk of a competitor coming in and maybe taking all your clients, your customers? How does that make you feel? And are you tough enough to want to fight for everything that you have? These are all personal, you can say, characteristics or things that you have to build to be able to be an entrepreneur because it is and I don't want to steer anyone away from it because I always encourage people to do it. But you have to have a certain type of grit. You have to have a certain type of drive and motivation and desire. And I would say there's a number of factors that I would play in. A, find the right people to help you, meaning whether it's business partners, employees, mentors, whoever it is, find the right people. Don't do it yourself because when you find the right people, your business is going to grow a lot faster. So that's always, instead of saying, how do I do this? My question is, who can help me do this? And who can help me do this better? That's something that's very important in business. The second thing is you got to be a good salesperson. And when I say that, I'm not talking about just going out there and selling to your clients. I'm talking about you have to sell to your employees. You have to sell to your business partners. You have to sell to everybody around you because you are trying to get them to either perform a certain way or get into business with you or invest in you. You have to be able to sell yourself. In business at the beginning, guess what? They're not buying your product or service. They're buying you, right? When people are doing business with a startup, most of it is how credible is that person? Can I trust that person? Does that person have enough drive to get to the finish line? All of these things are all about you. So you have to be able to build that confidence level and be able to sell yourself consistently.
And my question that I wanted to ask as well is, what is kind of the vision that you hope that once men read your book, what do you hope them to take from it? What is the vision of it?
Yeah, I think the vision is ultimately this, that it gives them some piece of tactical insight, because I put very practical stuff in there, that they can apply to their business or life, that A, enables them to have that level of success that they want. So if that's a career, money, business, whatever it is. B, be the husband that they want to be, right? Be in a loving relationship, a passionate relationship that they want to be in, that they thrive to be in, that they enjoy being in. Not one of those average, oh yeah, I'm married. I've been married for 20 years and, no, something that you're passionate about, because that's what life is really about. The third element is really about being able to raise a happy and healthy and successful family, because your kids deserve to have a father that's there, that's able to teach them, support them, and love them and protect them when they need that. And the last element is really to be the complete man, is to feel complete from within, because that's ultimately what this book is about. It's although I talk about all the other stuff like career and money and relationships, that is an external thing. What's more important is how you feel about yourself inside. Because regardless of whether you have the things in your external world, like a big house or money or a great relationship, whatever it is, if you feel good about yourself, you're going to be, that's ultimately what it is. And that comes from growing, that comes from evolving, that comes from contributing. But ultimately, if you focus on yourself, meaning being a better person, a better man, and being the complete man.
Perfect. As we're getting toward the end of our show here, I want to give us also an opportunity for the audience, for people who are listening to us as well. How is the best way to get in touch with you?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm pretty much on every social media channel. You can reach out to me. My handle is typically at Purdeep Sangha. I'm most active on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me via email. You can email my team at team@purdeepsangha.com. Or you could just check out my podcast too. So I have a podcast out there, daily. It's not as frequent now, but the Mind Shop podcast. But feel free to check that out as well.
Definitely, definitely. Any last word before we close?
Sure. I think there's two things. I can when you talk about getting in contact with me, if anybody is out there and wants to get a copy of the digital combo, I can give them a discount code for 75% off. So you can go to completemanaudio.com and use the promo code VICTORY75. So the word victory and then the number 75, all one word. You'll get 75% off. And I would say the last piece of advice that I have for people out there, especially the men out there, is actually two things. One is find a good mentor in life, right? Find someone that you can learn from that has a life that you want to have. I think that's important. I think we as men need to do a better job of finding mentors, but other men, and also mentoring others, right? It's important for us to do that. Is if you really want to have all the things that you want, if you really want to be successful and have the relationship, whatever it is, focus on your emotion, because your emotions determine your quality of life. And us as men, we are not trained to focus on our emotions. We're trained to do everything but focus on our emotions. But if we learn to master our emotions, guess what? We're going to be that much more powerful in our business, in our relationship, as parent, as a father, our ability to influence other people. Emotions is ultimately the true essence of life. And if we can master that, you can end up mastering life.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Purdeep Sangha. And for those of you who are listening, I totally recommend to go to purdeepsangha.com, check out the website, and as well get The Complete Man, the book, to learn about the experience of someone who've been through it, who've created an amazing life. And I look forward to having you again, Mr. Purdeep. Thank you very much for being in here, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been great. Thank you.
You're welcome.